September. Welcome to Newport City Council's Cabinet meeting. Packed agenda today, some positive news, so let's get straight to it. But first, number one, apologies.
No apologies.
Thank you. Moving swiftly to agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Anyone to declare any interests on the agenda items? Okay, no, but if you, as we go through the papers, realise that you do, just declare it there and we can record it. Item 3, minutes from July 24 Cabinet meeting, pages 3 to 14. Can I have someone to move that? That is a true record, please. Councillor Druitt and seconded by Councillor Lacey, if that's okay. Any comments? Nope. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, which is the revenue budget monitor, which is me. This report explains the current forecast position on the council's revenue budget and the financial risks and opportunities that present themselves within the July update. This is the first revenue monitor that's presented to Cabinet this financial year. Against the net budget of £400 million, the July forecast reflects a balanced position with £112,000 underspend. This takes into account the contingency budget and the anticipated underspend against capital financing budgets. Whilst a small overall underspend is projected, it should be noted that service areas are collectively forecast to overspend by £6.6 million, excluding schools. And that's an important point to say that although, again, the underspend is there, our services are experiencing huge, significant pressure. And that should be borne in mind as we go through this report. This update provides confirmation that some known risks at the start of the year have materialised, causing significant overspend, especially within housing services. As anticipated, it's currently proving possible to offset service area overspends with a general contingency and underspends within the capital financing. Moving on to what are the overspends, so that's £6.6 million. Significant pressure on housing community service in relation to homelessness. This area alone is contributing to an overspend of £3 million to overall service position. We anticipated this pressure and we have a plan to transform how we provide the service and meet the demands of citizens, some of the most vulnerable citizens in the city. And we hope these initiatives will take effect over the coming year. It's on the highest risk register, so we're fully cognizant of the pressure and what it's putting on our officers, our services, and the residents who are struggling to find suitable accommodation. We're also experiencing demand in our adults non-residential and supported living services, which is contributing to £3.2 million to the overall service position. Overall, however, these pressures are partly offset by an underspend of £2.2 million within the adults residential service due to reduced demand and the overachievement of income. So that's an overspend in looking after people in their homes and an underspend of looking after people in homes. So that explains that position. We're also getting increased demand on our children's social care. We're not alone in that. Cardiff is experiencing huge pressures. Caerphilly, pretty much every council you can think of, having huge pressures on their children's social care area, particularly emergency placements, contributing to a £1.8 million overspend in the overall service position. However, this pressure is partly mitigated by the use of specific contingency held in non-service budgets for this purpose. We're also seeing increased demand for ALM and special school transport. An additional 10 academic placements is contributing to a further £1.4 million overspend to the overall service position. Again, something we're fully cognizant of and trying to deal with and change over the coming years. This is all offset. So why have we got an underspend? Because we got an underspend against non-service budgets, so none of the budgets I've just outlined, and we have a contingency budget to help us offset some of these pressures. And how we finance our capital project is also hugely contributing to these savings. So that leads to the net underspend. The schools position, schools are very much by individual school budgets. The overall underspend does not reflect the school position. Schools are collectively forecasting an overspend against budget of £3.9 million, which would see their reserve balances reduced from £12.5 million to £8.6 by the end of this financial year. Considering the level of recurring expenditure included within the 3.9 million overspend, there is a risk of further schools entering a deficit position for future years. Robust margin required for the remainder of the year to ensure that schools plan for this risk and take the necessary steps to avoid this or minimise the impact. However, there is some good news in the cabinet in relation to that. We had an underspend at the end of the last financial year, and we're starting to allocate some of the money into some key priorities for this council, for this cabinet. And they are as follows: 400,000 to fund a project team to implement the replacement of the Welsh Community Care Information System, a system that basically looks after all the information details around adults and children who access our services and the critical support they need. It's in collaboration with many other councils in doing a joint venture to deal with the issue we all face. An extra in-year one-off £600,000 immediately pumped into our secondary schools, support them with many issues, including examination costs and increased ALM pressure. How they choose to spend the money is up to the schools, but it shows our commitment to our schools, to our secondary schools, and who are feeling the real pressure. And this is our political commitment to schools. And don't worry, primary schools will come in the huge demand and pressures they're experiencing. 320k to implement the recommendations of a customer service review. We want to reevaluate and repurpose how we interact with our residents. So when we say customers, we mean residents, improving the service, making it more timely, and making it more responsive to their demands and queries, and making it more user-friendly. Doubling the road sign replacement budget, so that's an extra 10k to replace road signs across the city. As you know, many of our inboxes will be residents saying, "Why's my road sign been replaced?" So we're answering that call. And 38k for supporting our Christmas ventures. We're building a Christmas plan to support city centre and other celebrations across the city. So 38k allocated for that. And 35k to support city centre master planning as we support many initiatives, including the placemaking plan led by Councillor Clark. All in all, as the cabinet considered the following proposals: note the forecast positioning outlined in the report, note the overall shortfall in the delivery of savings accepted as part of the 24-25 revenue budget, note the school's forecast position and the position on individual reserves, acknowledging that the risk that some individual deficit positions could emerge by the end of the financial year. Note the forecast movement of reserves to approve the recommended reserve transfers as set out in 4.3 and 4.4. Note the risk identified throughout the report, such as continued demand which we can face, unconfirmed pay awards, and uncertainties on the funding and teachers' pension costs. Cabinet. Proposer. Seconder. Cabinet. Any comments, queries, thoughts? Councillor Davis.
In my capacity as Cabinet Member Education, I'm acutely aware of the current financial pressure that we're finding with our schools and with our service. We have seen huge changes in our societal makeup since COVID, and what comes with this is an increasing number of children with a diagnosis of additional learning needs. The impact of this on our finances is challenging, not only to provision and appropriate placements, as some of those are out of county, but also with school transport. These challenges are not unique to Newport. Across Wales, I'm having the same conversations with my fellow Cabinet colleagues, and indeed we're raising this Welsh Government and they in turn with UK Government, as these are UK and worldwide problems. There is currently no magic money pot. We know that our Labour government has inherited what our Labour government has inherited. It will take some time before we see improved funding contributions to local authorities, but that doesn't stop us imaginatively thinking how we improve provision. This is already happening with collaboration between schools and communities and families, and this will continue. And I know we're working hard to provide bespoke support for children with a diagnosis of neurodiversity, and I'm currently out for consultation with our proposal to increase the numbers in Ysgol Durham by 40 places. This will not only benefit those children who need to access provision, but will free up much needed spaces in our learning resource bases. It's the consequent impact of this decision that will make a difference in all our schools. In the meantime, it's a huge positive that we can support our secondary schools with a significant contribution of £600,000 to their budget. And as the leader said, we spent the last few, well, I hope you say, I'm sure you say. We spent the last few weeks on our summer term visiting our secondary schools, specifically talking to them about these issues and the financial challenges they currently face. And we do get it. We know how important education is and at so many levels, as it supports well-being, it provides security, safety, and learning and aspirational opportunities. And we'll be doing the same with primary education as well. In education, we continue to support our schools and enabling them to achieve settled budgets in the forthcoming year. We appreciate that challenge. And it's good to know that, it's reassuring to know that all our schools have now signed up to that enhanced financial support that we can provide. And this will ensure that our schools can work closely with our financial officers to help them set a budget and deal with the financial constraints and challenges that they currently face. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Anyone else on what Councillor Dan?
I'd like to comment on the pressure on housing and homelessness services, and it's important to know that we are fastest growing city in Wales, and that's an important factor. There's also a difference or a deficit in terms of the housing benefit when we look at a local housing allowance, which we have to cover as a local authority. But there's also external factors that are completely out of our control, and that includes the early prisoner release schemes and, of course, the move on from asylum accommodation, which exacerbates the pressure on our housing. We're not in an ideal position, but we are obviously liaising with all housing providers, and you all know that there is an imbalance in terms of the supply and demand. That's part of the obviously reset. Moving forward, we will be exploring all avenues to address the housing crisis locally.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Anyone else? Great. Is everyone content with the revenue report? That's unanimous. We'll move on to agenda item 4 then. Moving from revenue to capital. Again, this is the first monitoring report will be on capital activity of this financial year, provides an overview of the update capital programme alongside the projected outturn position as at July of this year. The report outlines the changes made to the programme following a reprofiling exercise and provides an update on the level of available capital headroom. The report also details the additions to the programme that have been identified and seeks approval for the additions. Going on to the additions and amendments. The first section outlines the movement of the capital budget since the last report was sent into Cabinet, which was the 23-24 outturn report. That value of additions and amendments to the current capital programme since then is 7.5 million. A breakdown of these additions is given in Appendix A. We are required to approve these additions and amendments. As a result of these additions, as of July 2024, the current budget for 24-25 will have increased to over £98 million. An exercise is all being undertaken to review the anticipated profile of spend for each scheme with the aim of ensuring that a more realistic starting budget is reported against during the year. As a result, this year's budget has been reduced by £16.2 million, with a corresponding increases in future years. However, even following that exercise, the revised capital programme for 24-25 is still £82.7 million, which is still substantial and will be challenging to deliver in full. As part of the recommendation to this report, we are asked to approve the slippage that has been identified following the reprofiling exercise. However, following the same approach as last year, any further slippage that is identified throughout the year will only be subject to our approval as part of the final outturn report, once the final position is known. Moving on to the capital headroom, the report also details the level of capital headroom currently available, which can be used to support new schemes and emerging priorities. This now stands at just over £15 million, following a request to use 200,000 as a potential commitment towards transforming the existing Ysgol Cymraeg Mac Gwenley building. I hope I pronounced that correctly. In a facility suitable for learners with autistic spectrum. We are required to give our approval for the use of the headroom for this project. Whilst the level headroom may currently appear reasonable, there remains a need to tightly control its use so that the council is able to respond to critical issues as and when they emerge. This will require clear prioritisation of only the most pressing and urgent issues this council faces. In addition, any opportunity to further increase this headroom will need to be undertaken, so it's possible to support as many priorities as possible moving forward. On prudential indicators, the report confirms that council has complied with the prudential indicators set for 24-25, except for the indicator designed to show the proportion of financing costs to the net revenue stream. This is due to the increase in financing costs, which has arisen from a change in accounting for leases and does not represent an additional cost for this authority. Conclusion and recommendations. We are asked to approve the additions and amendments detailed in the report, totaling £7.5 million, and approve the reprofiling of budgets due to slippage to £16.2 million into future years. We asked to note the level of capital headroom currently available and improve the use of the headroom as noted in the report. We are also required to note the authority's compliance with the prudential indicators which are included within the report. May I have a proposer and a seconder? Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Corton. Any comments on the capital report? Yep, Councillor Davis.
Very happy to support the proposal with regards to capital spend on Korean secondary and our Welsh medium schools, Ysgol Cymraeg on their view sports hall. But what I really want to say, and what's mentioned in the report, it's really great to see that Baystage School is now near to completion with its official opening at the beginning of next month. The real positive for our residents of Newport, they're building that has substantial credentials with carbon neutrality being integral to its future. And importantly, learning opportunities will be enhanced and there'll be excellent outcomes that will be sustained for those students who live in that part of that catchment area. It's a fabulous new asset, which I know these students are already enjoying. This huge, massive, fantastic cafe facility as well. We noticed another bit.
The brands, you'll have to tell all the other brands. But they have the cafe.
I know indeed. I'm now looking forward to seeing St Andrew's Junior School and the Newport Wentley School opening as they're both on track. And it's really exciting equally for these children who truly deserve the same opportunities that enhanced learning and provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Anyone else? Oh, okay. Are we all content with the capital report? Take that as unanimous. Moving on to agenda item 6 then, the corporate risk register update. Again, that is me. Lucky me today. This is the council report risk register for Q1 of this financial year. The report provides an overview of the council's risk, which may prevent the achievement of our strategic priorities and delivery of services to Newport's communities. The Governance and Audit Committee will be presented with this Q1 update at the end of this month. At the end of Q1, there were 44 risks recorded across the organisation. 15 out of 44 were recorded in the corporate risk register, 8 severe risks, 7 major risks. In comparison to Q4, corporate risk register, the following changes took place. 1 risk score increased, housing and homelessness pressure from 20 to 25. Councillor Adan highlighted in his comments earlier on. And 1 risk decreased, stability of adult social services providers from 16 to 12. Does any cabinet member want to speak on these pressures at the moment, or should we be happy to move on to their conclusion and recommendations? That's okay. So the recommendations for cabinet: consider the content of the corporate risk register and continue monitoring progress of actions taken to address the risks identified in the report. Councillor Lacey. That's the end of it.
Yeah, great, thank you. So yeah, it's important to note that the risk reduction in the stability of adult social services providers, which has gone from 16 to a target score of actually 12, which is really good. So this is following the process of the fee setting, following the fee setting process, and we continue to have a good relationship with most providers currently, and the Commissioner is monitoring closely any sort of providers that are looking to go financially bust. We have had one, I think it was, let me just check, it was a sensory provider that looked after 3 of our adults, so they're being re-provided for. But to continue on, I think I should 3 out of the top 4 risks sit under my service area, and it's really pleasing to note the 160,000 that's coming down towards the WICIS improvement. It will significantly alleviate the pressure of providing a new system. But we're in a really good place, and I spoke on this last cabinet that we are the lead procurement for the system, and we are working for the Gwent region. obviously, when we go out there in a number of councils, we get the market a little better. So hopefully, but it's really pleasing to see the 160,000 coming in. R8, risk 8, R8, which is one of mine as well, which isn't in the top 4, but this is related to the eliminate agenda. So we've got a high impact but the medium probability, which is really, it's pleasing to see that Newport, and it should be noted that Newport are in a much better position than a lot of our other authorities with regards to this policy coming through. We've got already a number of our own children's homes online, and we are looking continuously, working with assets to provide further in-house children's homes, which will not only reduce this risk down, but also would alleviate significantly the pressure on children's services. We're looking at the moment of some of our out-of-county spend being around £1 million a year per placement. If we can provide our own complex needs homes, then that's going to be significantly less. So you know that it's a win-win on that side. So hopefully I'm sitting here in a few months' time again with some more of my risks at target. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. And for the record, and I know all Cabinet agree, thank you for your leadership around social services, and can you pass on our thanks to the social services team who do such a great job in very difficult circumstances. They're facing a lot of societal, they're dealing with and facing a lot of societal issues that are many issues, including the pandemic, and we owe them, and the residents owe them a great deal of gratitude for the hard work they put into for us and for our residents. Councillor Howard.
Yeah, thank you. Also, a couple of the high risk elements but fell into assets and infrastructure, so I just wanted to talk about them a little bit as well. So there's the property estate risks. The primary issue there is, you know, as everyone's probably aware, the backlog of maintenance within the aging estate and dealing with that within resources we have. You know, but this is being looked at. There's a strategic asset management plan that was agreed in Q1 of this year, and thank you again to officers for their work in producing that. And that should mitigate some of the risk elements because it includes a programme of work to rationalise or optimise assets as appropriate. And there's also a lot of positive tie-ins with that, with the climate change plan, which we're going to cover later, and also officers in state with Newport North have worked on this 5-year programme of works for the Civic Centre, which you probably all see this week. And that's going to be looking to address the backlog of maintenance in this building. So there is work going on, you know, with regard to the property estate. And then with the highways network, again, the issues really backlog of maintenance on the highways asset, you know, which is used ever more and by heavier vehicles. And there's obviously issues of climate change and more unpredictable and difficult weather. That's all contributing to that. There's a current highways asset management plan, but there's a new one being worked on for the period up to 2029, and that's in the process of being finalised. And that new plan will paint an updated picture of what our priorities are for action going forward. And that's going to help us target resources and again, hopefully mitigate some of these risks.
Thank you, Councillor Howes, and it really highlights that your leadership in handling some of the legacy issues of our infrastructure and trying to get a real grip of it and dealing with them. And it's going to be a long, hard road, but we're on that journey because the infrastructure of the city is really important to the residents. Any other comments? Okay, are we content with the corporate risk register update? Take that.
A resolution to note the content.
A resolution to note the contents. Thank you. Thanks, unanimous. Okay, agenda item 7, the annual digital report. Again, me. This report is to provide an update on our digital strategy. The strategy is a key component of the delivery of the council's corporate plan and data-driven transformation. The report was presented to the overview of management scrutiny on the 26th of July this year. Digital technology plays a critical, important role in effective and efficient delivery of all our services. And, you know, it will be the ever-growing part of how we face the challenges we face in all our service areas. And embracing it is going to be key to us facing these challenges head on. The annual digital report notes the governance to support the delivery of the strategy, the key roles of partner organisations like SRS, digital services and service areas working together only through partnership will we solve the problems we all face. The strategy has 4 themes and report outlines some key achievements. One of which was the website when I was just a cabinet member. I know it sounds silly, but having a more user-friendly website that residents find it easier to understand and navigate is a critical role in moving some of our service to an online-only area. Now, there are some residents who are very concerned about online, and we listen to them and care about their views, and we're maintaining our face-to-face provision, particularly in central library, to make sure that all residents are catered for. But we should be under no illusions that making our systems more online and more user-friendly is part of the answer for addressing some of the financial pressures and service pressures we're experiencing. On that note, we are starting to test out some of the opportunities around artificial intelligence. We have some Microsoft Copilot licenses, and I know across different teams they're testing them and utilizing to see if it makes their increased productivity for their work, allowing them to focus on more added value items within the business and the organization. We're also rolling out robotic process automation, otherwise known as the helpful acronym of RPA, most notably in Councillor Dan's area around housing and communities. This is an exciting opportunity. I know a lot of people face this with trepidation and fear, and we have to listen to those concerns and be mindful of them. But as I say, we can't go back to the old system. If we want local authority to be more efficient and more effective, we have to embrace in a smart, intelligent way the new system that exists in the modern world. This includes, this will be rolled into our customer contact review that took place earlier this year, and I highlighted extra financial support for that to be rolled out in the coming years. We have a smart hub facility to promote and demonstrate how technology can help support more independent living. As we know, more and more people want to stay at home, but have needs, and how we can support them in a smarter, technology advanced way. We've migrated to a cloud-based solution for its financial system, which went live in April 24, meaning all the council's highest priority IT systems are in the cloud. As I mentioned earlier, we have to help residents with digital skills, and so the Adult Community Link Centre continues to deliver digital skills courses as part of our offering. Libraries and hubs continue to provide free access to devices if people can't afford to purchase them and use them. And we provide free public Wi-Fi at 50 sites across the city and contribute to Newport's free transport's free bus Wi-Fi service. On data and collaboration, I know data is really sexy and everyone loves to hear about it. We've done some work around our public services network, accreditation, security, basically around our payment cards and compliance around in that area. And really excitingly, although admittedly I am a geek, around our work around SRS, that's a shared resource service, and in partnership with other councils in the Gwent region around what we call the project Single View of a Child, which is being led by this council, which is harnessing all the data so we can have a single view of issues faced by a child and how we can maximize support for that child and preempt any support they might need in the future. So it's a real boon to potentially our preventative services, which is the key for our children social services area. And it's an exciting piece of work which is being developed with us leading it. We have a transformation intelligence team who I know annoy on a weekly basis about pace and getting some more stuff out there. And I just want to put on record the amazing work they already do. And Newport was ahead of the game and having an intelligence team in the first place. Many councils do not. Do not underestimate how important that has been in our transforming our services. And the amazing work Rian's been doing with the intelligence team around the asset rationalization program. That's effectively understanding the assets we hold and how to maximize the use of those assets for the benefit of the taxpayer. And that's the key for us. The council took a Welsh Government funded cyber breach workshop to improve our response times to cyber incident. We can never guarantee we'll never be attacked by nefarious actors, particularly by a state, but we always must be vigilant, and we can always do more to improve our ability to respond to any incident if it to occur. On our infrastructure and connectivity, there's 2 full fibre suppliers and made good progress with rollout across the city. We have implemented the local broadband fund, which has increased the fibre footprint of the city and has brought major benefits in 3 local authority area adult care homes, providing that service to those care homes where it's needed. 5G is now available in the city by mobile operators, and new suppliers have been awarded the contract for the community safety network, which is the network around our CCTV, which I know Councillor Druitt's been leading on. And we've been further discussions, because I know there's a huge demand for CCTV across the city in many areas of concern. So in summary, the council is making good progress towards the outcomes identified in the digital strategy, especially in the theme of transformation to embrace the opportunities of emerging digital technologies. This work will continue and be reported to Cabinet annually. I asked the Cabinet to endorse this annual digital report 23-24 and the proposed actions. And I hope I don't have to say digital again, because I'm going to slip up. Said it too many times. Any comments, thoughts from Cabinet? Councillor Courtney.
I just want to go back to our council website, which we all know looks amazing. Now it's had so many improvements to it. I think the old website, well, that needed some love. It was desperately outdated. I think it would have been outdated on Internet Explorer back at the turn of the century. We must put on record huge thanks to our council officers who worked at pace to deliver that, learned new skills at pace, and I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's completely complete for the subsites.
Well said, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Davies.
Yes, I just want to add to your report. I'm really pleased to say that our education team have been also working at a pace and have now disseminated our school cyber response plan to all schools to adopt and manage. This is a focus on how to prevent data breaches. Schools are clearly a place of high risk. Children do things that they shouldn't be doing at time. You know, there is a risk, an associated risk, which schools need to understand how to manage. It's not just understanding how to manage, prevent. It's also vitally important they know what to do if a breach does occur. So the steps are now being taken. There's going to be ongoing training. And what I'd like to say, you know, prevention and preparation is always key. It's always how you manage to do it. But what I also like to say is I know that we're sector leading in Wales, the first local authority to work with our schools in this way, and that's a real positive as well.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on, obviously, we are progressive administration in terms of, moving digitally forward. Very forward thinking. In terms of housing sort of element, I just want to touch on the streamlined assessment process we are working on with the common housing register. The home options policy currently requires officers to check in applicants' eligibility before they're made live on the register and can bid. So I'd like to applaud both the housing and the transformation team. Officers have worked extremely hard to sort of digitalize that process now through ways of algorithms, and it's a way forward for us in terms of, saving resources, staff, and process those applications at the minute. So that would be going forward automated, and it's a way forward really. We are in a digital age and we have to move forward.
Completely. And I want to thank all the teams, because as I know the officers in charge of the digital transformation piece always say to me, we have to work with other departments, not impose. And we thank all those departments who embrace this agenda and work with us and with the intelligence team to roll out what will be more effective for them and for the residents they serve. And I want to pay testament to all of them and to the digital transformation team. No pressure in the coming years. I ask Cabinet to endorse the report. Propose a seconder, Clark, Dan. Yeah. And you ask me to endorse the report?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Content?
Yeah.
Great. Agenda item 8, and thank God, it's Councillor Von Forson.
Thank you. This is the climate change annual report. So the purpose of this report is to provide our organisation's emissions for 23-24. This is the second annual report of the climate change plan, and the climate change plan sets out how we will reach net zero as an organisation by 2030. So in the past year, emissions have increased by 2.76%, and this has been driven by a 4.76 increase in procurement emissions, caused by a 15% increase in procurement spending. We were able to provide accurate emissions data for a number of our largest suppliers, which meant we were able to minimise the impact of the increased spend on our emissions. Fleet emissions have reduced by 14% this year, and by our buildings by 12%. Over the past 5 years, our emissions have decreased by 44%, and that is made up of 57% reduction in waste, 51% reduction in procurement, 33% reduction in buildings, and 16% reduction in transport. So projects of note in the last year have been the World Environment Day flag raising, the energy saving event at the riverfront with over 300 people attending, Newport Climate Change Champions and Newport Environment Network, and a very active staff network where I'm really pleased to hear about how staff are really engaged with this network. The decarbonisation standards policy for council buildings covering acquisition, new builds and retrofit. Air source heat pumps have been installed at Jubilee Park Primary School, William Lodge Primary School. It's got Gramai, Casnewid, Landin Primary School, Lanwern High and Spring Gardens Residential Home. We've planted nearly 23,000 trees in the past year. We've installed rainwater gardens, which reduce the risk of flooding and also provide new habitats for wildlife. And these have been installed at various locations across the city centre. 45 new electric vehicles have been added to our fleet, and now 40% of our wheeled fleet is fully electric. Nearly 100 fast and rapid charging points have been installed across the city and at destination venues such as Nisby, Rodney Parade and Fadiga Park. We've developed a carbon calculator for supplies to allow them and us to understand and report their actual emissions instead of using Welsh Government calculations. And this is what allowed us only to increase our procurement emissions by 4.76%, even though the spend increased by 15.47%. Currently leading on a project to introduce a shared online carbon reporting for suppliers in all local authorities in South East Wales. Recycling rates have increased 5% year on year, now at 67.89% with a target of 70% for next year. The main areas of focus for 24-25, develop a new short form training for staff and improve website, expansion of the electric vehicle charging network, replacement of more gas boilers with air source heat pumps across our estate, and there are 6 sites due for completion over the next 2 years. We support development decarbonisation plans for local suppliers and other SMEs. Net Zero Newport Decarbonisation Programme, match funding for SMEs and community organisation for installation of low carbon infrastructure. So in conclusion, I ask that this council agree the report and recommend that it be presented to full council for the council to approve the report and for reflecting.
Thank you, Councillor Forsey. Just to note, we are noting this report and it might be subject to change in the coming weeks, but we're noting it, and thank you for your hard work and some of the key stats there. Any comments for Councillor Forsey on what's reported? Councillor Howe.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of it is just adding to what Councillor Forsey said, but it was fantastic to read, you know, all the examples of the projects that are underway across the board. And, you know, particularly from assets and infrastructure perspective, you know, officers have obviously been really busy contributing to this in terms of, you know, from the estate's perspective, there's been the installation of the air source heat pumps on council buildings with more to come. There's the LED lighting and the roof solar array on the riverfront, which is going to save over 100 tonnes of carbon dioxide per year. There's the solar arrays that have been installed across Malpas Library, Maes Glas Community Centre, Arway Community Centre, Newport East Community Centre, and there's the new decarbonisation standards policy for council buildings. So, you know, officers in the Estates Department have obviously been really busy and contributing to all of this. So I'd like to thank them for that. And then, you know, turn into infrastructure as well. There's been a lot of contribution from that department as well. There's been, as mentioned, lots of progress in decarbonising the council vehicle fleet, converting them to fully electric vehicles, installation of charging points, urban drainage schemes. So yeah, I also just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone for all their contributions, you know, to taking us down this net zero trajectory.
Thank you, Councillor Howell. Councillor Corton.
Just to really add to what Councillor Howell said in terms of, I think we should also give a big thanks to our residents as well. Right, recycling has increased 5% year on year. You know, we must thank them for all their hard work in that. You know, we all know what it's like to wash things outside, let those bags out. So that's really brilliant. And yeah, just thank the residents really for their input.
Great point. Councillor Lacey.
Thank you. So it's really pleasing to have this second update and it's been lovely to be undertaken by such a passionate cabinet member and passionate officer. So my comment is more regarding the retrofit programme, which is hampered quite a lot by the listing of the building. So we know we're sat in the grey listed building now, with Manor House is listed. Not only the grey listing, but it's the stringent requirements placed on us by CADU that when we go to retrofit. So really it's more of a plea to CADU than to come to the table and work with the local authority on how we can sympathetically keep the historical integrity of the building, but it isn't financially unachievable. So I think until they speak with us, we're going to be at a loss. You know, our budgets as they are, but it's really important that we decarbonise, but I think they need to come to the table. But really pleased to see the second report again.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. And it's really important CADU do come to the table, because we both want the same thing, protect those buildings, but we've got to protect our future as well, and our children's future. Tackling climate change is key to that. Any other comments? I just want to say we couldn't have a better cabinet member on this climate change. Passionate about the subject, lives and breathes it, fights it, probably dreams about it. I can imagine as well. And you know, you need someone like that for such a challenge that we all face and what this council faces. So I want to put on record my thanks and my gratitude for her hard work and her passion in this area. Is everyone content to note the report? Can I have some proposed to note the report?
Proposed, I'll propose tonight.
Thank you. Is everyone content?
I'm content as well.
Great. Moving on to agenda item 9, City Centre Leisure and Wellbeing Development. I'm super happy to propose this in conjunction with Councillor Corton, who's just been incredible in this area and in many areas, and I'll bring her in. But I just want to talk about the money, the exciting piece. The decision to deliver the new leisure and wellbeing facility was made in February 2021, followed by a public consultation where over 1,000 people responded. It was overwhelmingly supportive of developing a new leisure and wellbeing facility. And since that time, officers have been working on the detail on how to deliver that, what it will look like. And that has been a very arduous but necessary process, because it's not easy to deliver big buildings to many specifications that we face these days. And the last update was in Cabinet in November 23 and outlined the facilities which will be provided, which was very much focused on leisure and well-being. The facility will bring people into the city centre from not only Newport but also visitors from outside Newport, supporting our city centre businesses with increased footfall. The viability has been tested of the operating model through an independent report, but also important to remember this is one of the wider provisional leisure facilities across the city, adding to the overall leisure offer. So this is not meant to be a building that encompasses everything that people want to do in the city centre, but it adds to the offer of many services that we provide, so gym facilities as well as swimming facilities. Building on our point with Councillor Forsey, our climate change commitment is reflected in the core design, with it possibly being emphasised here, and first electric facility of its type in the United Kingdom. And if that is true, that's quite a boom. Newport is leading the way and shining a light on the excellent work we are doing. And again, pay testament to council forcing and pushing that agenda. The building is sustainable and accessible location in the city centre. You can get there by bus, walking, and by car with public parking nearby. There's a detailed design and ground enabling works have been completed, and we have a tender price on the table, which gives us cost certainty of the cost of the project. Inflation and external events such as the war in Ukraine and rising energy costs have all impacted the construction, and we're not immune from these external factors. Project costs increased from the budget agreed by Cabinet in 2021. No surprise there with the issues I've just highlighted. The worth reminded Cabinet that the figure was based on an estimate rather than intended cost. However, we are pleased to confirm we've secured over 56% of the funding required to deliver this project through external grant funding, with over 10 million coming from the Welsh Government Transforming Towns Fund. This fund is specific to this project, is time limited, and will be lost if we do not proceed. I.e., if we don't build it now, we lose that grant funding. The council has agreed a capital application to this project, and report is clear that we only need a further 600k to make this happen. Planning permission is in place, and the preferred contractor is waiting for us to sign the contract. I am assured that there will be a social value benefits associated with this contract. We will see local employment and training opportunities for those in the city who want to work on this project. Work could commence on the building by November. Construction is expected to take 18 months. We could have this facility finished and open in the summer of 2026, barring any black swan events like another war or another energy spike. Hopefully none of that, or another pandemic. Hopefully none of that happens. So I won't put this in blood, but we hope it'll be done in the next 18 months. The benefits of the new leisure and wellbeing facility cannot be understated. It will enable us to continue and only deliver transformational regeneration of the city centre, and also deliver a fit for purpose, modern, sustainable leisure and wellbeing facility for the people of Newport and visitors from further afield. And just on that point, with our splash park opening, I know that lots of people visiting that splash park weren't from Newport. They were coming into Newport, spending money in Newport, and that is hopefully this leisure facility will also enable. I keep trying to say leisure centre, and I keep correcting myself to facility. Can we call it a centre now? Is that bad? Cabinet is asked to note and approve the final details and associated costs of the scheme, as well as agreeing to an increased capital contribution of 600,000 to make this happen, which unlocks the 56% of external grant funding that officers have done an amazing job at leveraging into this leisure centre spend. Cabinet members, anyone want to have their say on this issue? Councillor Corton, please.
I think it's just brilliant that if we approve this today, within 2 months now, we'll have shovels in the ground, hopefully, and this will be underway, ready to open, hopefully in summer 2026. And I know everyone will work their hardest to make that happen. The old leisure centre, which we all loved, was well past its sell-by date. The new one will offer such a brilliant facility for young people, the lazy river, the extra slides, and growing up in Newport and going to the leisure centre and having that bit of freedom was so important when I was growing up. And I'm looking forward to watching young people from across all of our communities have that chance with the new centre. So yeah, I'm so excited, and I just can't wait for it to grow.
Thank you, Councillor Corton. Councillor Druitt.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with this development, and residents of Newport, I know, are going to be really pleased about it as well. The leisure and wellbeing facility will benefit the whole of the community. It'll improve the city centre and bring footfall, as you said, Leader, bring footfall into the city centre, maybe not from Newport itself, but from outside as well. So we welcome that, and there's a wide demand for it, and it will uplift Newport. So it's a really positive move.
Thank you, Councillor Druitt. Councillor Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Councillor Druitt. I know there's a level of nostalgia and sentiment with the previous leisure centre. However, I think, going forward with this new leisure centre, for facility. As you said, it will increase the level of footfall. It's not just the visitor economy, but in terms of the new model, I think it's a revival of Newport, and it's something we do have to embrace. Changes are going to be made as we develop as a city, and it's a pledge that we've made as well to the citizens of Newport, which is really important.
Good point. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Just really adding on to what's been said. This is absolutely key to the regeneration of Newport and the vision we've got for Newport moving forward. And you can sort of see that if you look at Newport Matters, this which is I think landed on the doorsteps and you can get online, I believe. I think page 2 of it mentioned about companies coming into Newport. So having this in place is a real key part of all of ours vision. It's all key part of the jigsaw of how we see Newport in the future. This will touch on maybe in a minute on the placemaking and other plans in place. But this is absolutely essential and absolutely key, and will be looked upon in years to come as a big part of Newport for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. This is the facility that our city desperately needs. This is going to create immediate accessibility for some of our most disadvantaged families in our city. It's much needed. It's going to immediately have a positive benefit on those people and those families for health and well-being. And it's a real positive that we know that specific consideration has been given to design that specifically looks at supporting diversity and inclusion, such as, for example, we know that appropriate changing procedures put in place. Say, for example, our BME women who need that specific privacy. It's also great to see this project will be city-centric, not only for access, but in the determination that we have that it will be built by local people, utilising their specific skills and abilities. It's a real project for our city. And again, that sustainability for the future is a real positive as well, because we know that this will be there long past our lifetime. It's great. It's a thing that we can actually be proud of going forward to the future.
Thank you. Well, so Councillor Paulson.
Predictably, I'm going to comment on the carbon footprint. And I want to say I think it's really exciting to have a scheme that delivers net zero carbon in operational standards. Retrofitting premises, we know, is expensive and inefficient. So to design and build this with net zero objective is the right approach, in my opinion. I think, as everybody else has said, it's a very exciting project, and we're all looking forward to development starting as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And we look forward to working with our partners like Newport Live in enabling this facility to be all it can be, and meet the demands of our residents in the future, now and in the future. Okay, can I ask the Cabinet to propose supporting the extra investment and the report? Pick any councillor. And we all agreed.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, colleagues. Moving on to agenda item 10, the placemaking plan cross-party working group. Pleasure to introduce Councillor James Clark.
As we all know, as we're all aware, there's a placemaking plan in place within Newport City Council. And the placemaking plan, its aim is to present a vision and strategy for the future of the city centre that all stakeholders can champion and endorse. And within the placemaking plan is a steering group. And the steering group is in place, again, to provide oversight of the development of the plan, chaired by myself. And within that steering group, it includes all major public service and private and third sector partners. So what we're proposing today and what we're looking to agree, that it's essential, we believe, that all elected political parties have an opportunity to be involved in this. And that's where we've got a task and finish group. And that will sit as a subgroup to the placemaking steering group. And from that, we'll have a representative from the cross-party group who will be invited to the full steering group to ensure that the input from the task and finish group is taken into consideration in the development of the placemaking plan. I think what's key also is that you'll remember in full council, this was discussed, mentioned and discussed, and we said it would happen. And we're fulfilling that promise. That's what was discussed. That's what we're doing. So I would urge all, if agreed today, all political parties get involved. This is a massive step. This is a massive step forward. And if agreed today, I would be looking as chair of this group to have the first meeting within the next 10 working days, if possible. So this is really key that we're listening. And it's really key that we embrace all elected members, all political parties, I should say, and get involvement. So I would urge you to agree this today, and let's move this forward.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Any comments? Councillor Druitt.
I think the placemaking plan is about change. It's about moving Newport forward into the future, and it's about regeneration as well. And it's essential, I think, to have a wide consultation within the different political parties within Newport, and so it's essential to have not only a strategic group, now a wider task and finish group as well. So I support this recommendation.
I just want to come in on that. I'm totally in agreement with Councillor Druitt, and as Councillor Clark alluded to, it's about democratising the process beyond political divides, and it's the city of Newport we're talking about, and it's about uniting all political parties in moving the city forward. So yeah, I'm totally in agreement with Councillor Clark's proposal in creating that task force, if you like, or group.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Yeah, can I say, this is quite something. We are in political power, and we are handing some of that power back to our opposition. And I stood up when I became leader, saying that we couldn't do this alone. And this is demonstrating that wasn't just words. And Newport faces many issues, like many cities, but it's only standing together, facing those difficulties, can we solve them. This is too big to be a political football, which it often turns into the council chamber, and benefits no one, because all the residents do is just turn off and just see people talking to each other and having a go at each other, which gets us nowhere. And so, could you think of a better councillor to lead this than Councillor Clark? And like I just pay testament to him, going around all the businesses as well, and speaking to all the characters who are involved in the city centre and who are driving this city forward in the private sector. Councillor Clark is going over and above, meeting them, discussing them, listening to their issues, trying to solve them. And I know he's going to continue to drive that forward. And so I am super confident that Councillor Clark is really going to make a difference to this city, and I'm pleased he's in the cabinet. Any other comments? We have a proposal and a second for Councillor Clark's proposal by Druitt, supported by Councillor Dan. We all vote for Councillor Clark's proposal to create a cross-party working group. It's unanimous. Great. Moving on to agenda item 11, the work programme. Can I move the Cabinet accepts this work programme going forward?
Yep.
Yeah. Unanimous. Do you need accept? Do you need a proposal in a second? Thanks. Great. I conclude this Cabinet meeting. Thank you all for your attendance here and online.